over back to the studio to see what happens in our last two games of the day on Miramar. Take it away, guys.
Well, here we go then. Last two matchups of the day. Opportunities to get points starting to slip through the fingertips of the majority of our teams. One team standing above all others. IWNRX has been farming up those points, Blank.
They have just been slaying the opposition during these matches, and it's been insane to watch so far. Even that last game felt like not a great one. Still 6 elims. Now, 6 elims is higher than whose points total? Team Spirits.
Yes.
This is depressing.
It is a bit sad. It is a bit sad.
So, you know what? If IWNRX can get the entirety of Team Spirit's points pool in one game, I'm certain of it, that Team Spirit will be able to get at least maybe some points in this match here over on Miramar. Or they might just need the full mental reset, though. This is the problem with Survival Stage. You basically cannot have a single bad day.
No.
And this has been the worst day for Team Spirit. So at this point in time, unless they do something in this game, we're sort of counting them out. Already.
It's crazy, isn't it? It feels that way. It really does. And it's a shame to see. You would have hoped there would have been a bit of a second wind. But like we said before, no one's going to give those opportunities to you. You've got to make them for yourself. And they just have not been able to. Yeah, it's worrying out there. But the point distribution already starting to swell towards the top end.
Yeah.
I don't know what they can do for themselves.
I mean, it does drop down pretty heavily. I mean, you got 5th place with Tongjia Bao. They've got 28 points. Then we're dropping to just this 20-point glut between 7th and 10th place. You know, you're 21 points down to 20. Besiktas Black with 22 and 6th. So, you know, there's a lot that can change in that middle pack. But again, you're trying to jump up into that 4th place. But that can just be one insane game. Over in EMEA, Brute Force were able to pick themselves a 30-point game over in that region in their Super League. And, you know, for them, that would shoot them up into 2nd place. One match. Easy peasy. But still, with a game like that, they would not be ahead of IWNRX.
No, not at all. But if you want to try and compete on the same level as IWNRX, then one way you can help yourself is the GT20 Pro. Get yourself that bad boy, get out there, get practicing, Blank. Who knows? You could be on this stage one day.
You could be playing with the best of us, honestly. At the World Cup, representing your region, the best way to start is to pick yourself up that GT20 Pro, because it's pro for playing with the professionals.
It's pro for a reason.
It's pro for a reason, guys. Brute Force on our screens, in towards El Pozzo, looting up nice and early. Circle heads east. Over towards Rook Esports and IWNRX once again. Strong position. Over towards El Azahar. Quick switch back. And it will be Tongjia Bao losing a player.
Okay, it looked like it was set up for an easy drive-by on that one. It should have been a freebie. Instead, it's a 1-for-1 trade on the schoolyard with the trading cards. Then either one of them going down to 3-man squads.
Not the best. An ideal situation for either squads there. Bit of mutual destruction going on from both these teams, but does open some space up for a team like Team Spirit. They desperately need some space right now. Just to breathe, in fact.
Yeah, it's getting claustrophobic with how these games have been.
Inco, another team that we sort of expected a lot more from. They got fairly close to making it into the main tournament, but were pipped to the post right at the end. Here they are, 15th place, 8 points. Dear me. I mean, it's got to feel bad when you've got your basically brothers in arms with Team Liquid and Alpha 7 already in towards the main tournament. You want to join them. You want to join them. Do your region proud by getting as many of your teams in. But right now, for Inco, it's not looking good.
And they've had some good rotates, had some good moments. There was a few highlights back in the group stage, but honestly, that's such a distant memory for them now, with how the survival stage is the only thing that's on the forefront of their minds, the most important piece. And they're similar to the Team Spirit, all the way down towards the bottom of the standings. Only a few points of difference that set those two squads aside. So if you want a recovery, it's going to happen soon.
One quick peek at the map here. Let's do a stock check, shall we?
Get in there.
Let's get in there. Le Bandita, very focal position towards the center of this one, so you got that big old crater to be worrying around about. And again, that does shift a lot of sight lines away from that east and west side, so you sort of do cut the map in half just a little bit. You got teams playing over towards the east in Impala and Puerto Paraíso. They'll be taking their own fights compared to a lot of the teams pushing in from the western side. Moneymaker's got a hell of a rotate though. I hate this rotate personally. It's a tough one to make from La Cabrera down towards Hacienda del Patron. So a lot of times you'll see teams on that north side try and cut in towards the south and try and rotate alongside teams like Inco and CAG Osaka. That would be a smart move, but again, you want to rotate through the Falcons, who have been pretty fierce so far, pecking their way at the points total.
Yeah, it feels like the Falcons have started to become more of the vultures with the way that they've been isolating fights and really chopping down some of the competition. If it's maintainable, if it's sustainable, it'll be huge for the Twisted Minds. In the last matchup with just a duo, they were able to find opportunities to punish here and there. And it really is just duo here. And they're thrust into the early fight versus DRX. Good splash damage done on one of them that will soften them up. Paranoid about the peek from the back as well. They sniff out Mad Balls, have overlook onto them, and try and dip into cover that provides for both.
Not a bad spot for the Mad Bulls, honestly, down towards the south side. They've got a lot of oversight towards these teams on the north, but I think they're probably more worried about teams behind them. Looking at Panda as well as Bro Team on that south side, they need to hold out. The Mad Bulls got awfully close, but in that last game of the group stage, they just did not give it any welly, Jackie. And that was the problem. Like, they had nothing to lose in that moment and just did not go for broke. Instead are now broke over towards the survival stage, desperately clinging on.
That's going to feel rough to play from. Realizing that every decision you make has so much stock on it. So many eyes as well from the viewers here in the STC arena, from the people supporting the organization back at home as well, watching the games dialed in. They need to have that upwards draft. Now, this is Twisted Minds that were dropped on by DRX quite some time ago. Since that point, they were able to spread themselves out further with more range to work with. Ooh, Ratto Boy in the back line. That's actually Panda that spot the opportunity to put some bullets into his back.
It's a tough fight now because you're going to expose on the outside and you got to worry about which angles you're taking, whether it be profitable for you versus DRX, or will they be bad where Pandem can see through. So decisions that are made now for Twisted Minds a little bit difficult. And DRX looks to punish this as well. They know that they've got the inside track inside these compounds. They're safe from those angles on the outside. It's sort of just pepper away at Twisted Minds, make them uncomfortable. And it looks like they're going to make a smart choice here and try and push away to more favorable footing, realizing this compound is likely not going to be picked up by them anytime soon. So DRX will pick up Longhouse.
So concessions made there. Got to cut their losses with what's felt very awkward for them over the past couple minutes. Jump in, luckily, the vehicle they had to their disposal and reposition themselves a better spot. It's also because CAG Osaka were moving in towards the hillside. They didn't reveal themselves, haven't put any presence out, but do have a bit of an assess on the situation. Zone ushering itself further down as well. Everyone's starting to get a bit of a hustle and bustle on, the pep in their step now.
And they'll have to step things up just a little bit to head further over towards that north side. Now as a high, you know, there's a lot of high ground around this area you can play off the back of, but sometimes it's not always wise to hit up that high ground over towards that northeast side. Luckily, this doesn't encompass that nasty valley that sits between Al Azhar on that northern edge. We do have a lot of ridge sides to play around with, a lot of cover that can be had, you know, even up just towards that northwest. There's stages to that area of the map.
Oh, obscure. He likes trying to split from the rest of the pack a little bit. We've seen this before, but it's the worst time to do it. With IWNRX hunting down and tapping out warning shots that become real big issues. Exclamation marks of damage done from the Mini 14, making the plays look major and providing opportunities for them to dogpile their way on and clean up a lot against Twisted Minds.
Yeah, IWNRX, some great shots there, and Twisted Minds just left with Ratto Boy, literally ratting it out over towards this side of the map. The rest of his team ducked cover and left. Couldn't afford to head towards his position and compromise themselves. Bit of a sacrifice play there. But in the end, it's actually just Ratto Boy who lives this one out. Mad Bulls, good molly. Basically cover the entire floor in fire. We're playing a game of the floor is lava for IWNRX, and they will lose Swain off the back of that. Now Mad Bulls might want to capitalize on this one. It's an ever so central position as well, Jackie, so I think that if there's any time to take a compound, it is now while teams are still crunching in and you have a little bit of more space to play.
When they go for that gamble, though, show some confidence. Show how handy they can be with a steal in these encounters. Or they keep themselves to themselves, play a little bit slower, but get the overall assess on the lay of the land as well, what the rest of the squads are doing for themselves, tanking themselves back up. Whole load of nades being primed in the hands of IWNRX as well, as they are realizing Mad Bulls still locked in close by. Pandem with the lay of the land from the backside, wanting to get involved. The nades going up in the building, setting the stairs ablaze, making it hard for this fight for Mad Bulls to commit off the back of, but that's a huge nade into the tap. The UMP swipes up, and the SMG does some blind work to isolate these encounters, fragment the rest of IWNRX, and the Bulls can close in, close that gap up close. Spray, dealing damage on the stairs. A close quarters combat that won't benefit the Bulls as they've been manhandled in the fight. Oh, mate. They keep it going. The backstab with the DBS, single-handedly wiping the Bulls down and removing them bit by bit.
Zed Wolfman on the corner, sinks the fangs in. That is an insane play coming through from IWNRX. You just cannot step for this team. Mad Bulls makes the right choice at the right time to try and pick this one up. They knew they were a man down. But I think leaving Zerich on the backside where the windows are just not going to be exposed, right? Maybe he gets one of those engagements during that where he can maybe spot one player through the window, but IWNRX is not a team to allow you to get that done. Instead, they just throw themselves into a 3v3, and it ends so poorly for the Mad Bulls. You can tell Zed Wolf is dialed in here. And another nice nade here from range onto D plus Kia. Nobu trying to keep him back, but honestly, he is just pumping that damage through.
It's been good damage with the nades. Still more in the back pocket as well. Two of them primed on the close quarters turnaround. They know exactly where he is. Oh, the close nade. Getting some nice splash damage out at least. He sees the head, debating whether or not now's the time to peek up. Try to commit to the frag with the actual connection on the primary. Nade over again. Wow. They're keeping it going, Blank. They're dealing so much damage with these bad boys.
That's a nice air burst onto Osal as well. Will flush him out before they can get the res through, and they had to back up there. Another couple of air bursts. The shrapnel raining down upon him like an isolated rain cloud.
Just consistently punishing them every time there's a peek up and forcing them back into the depths. Ooh, bit of a tag across though. Get your belly down to the ground instantly. You know you got a good angle to work with geometry here, and the smoke's blocking some of the vision. It's all a downrange fight for them, and they've got to decide how to play this one. If they're going to go for the pick-me-up, get Chips back on his feet so he can help out the rest of the squad.
Kay's honestly playing an unbelievable range here, and still actually hitting some of these shots, making it so uncomfortable right now for Bro Harami. Just cannot deal with this. Effectively a sniper with an AR. Really well done, and that just gives time for the rest of DK plus Kia to actually get themselves into a position where maybe they can regroup, maybe they can reassess the scenario.
That potential for a reset. The smoke's at least paying dividends, giving them a bit of a shroud. The vehicle was still alive as well, even though it took some damage from the nades that were dropped down onto it. Damage to the paintwork. The engine block's still good for now. Money makers as well. Been quiet for too long for them. We join Rook over on the hillside. That's brute force they're up against. Nice fadeaway. That's a good three-pointer on that one.
Easy game, just immediately gets back into buggy. There is a player still out in the open. They're searching for him, but feels like Yankees just going to get a move on here. But brute force, nice hold out on this western side, but the circle does shift over towards the east, and it's barren land ahead of them.
Replay here, some of the highlights that we've seen from IWNRX. And it has been highlight reel worthy with the maneuvers they've been making. Finding elims, keeping themselves in the fight for longevity. Moneymakers, still alive with 4 players. Ooh, spoke too soon. As you get the peek up from Nerzed, he assaults down with the AR and connects onto another one. He's looked good today individually. From range blank, it feels like he's really crisp right now.
Yeah, man. This through on that northern side, once again, bit of that rivalry coming through from the Moneymakers and Falcons, duking it out here. Top, plenty of ammo to work with on the AUG. This guy is so terribly accurate. Luckily, Koa is much of the same.
Predicting the peaks, pre-firing around the elevated angle. Bullets on either side of the tree, it's restricting his ability to take that fight cleanly and get a headshot off. Koa goes for the reposition. Moneymakers on the move.
So it's time to just move in. They're on the close side of the circle as well, so they can hit up this ridge side down towards that northeast. Smart move. Smart play to go for as well. And again, it just feels like the rotations for both Falcons and Moneymakers so far on the outside of the circles have been pretty clean so far. And it's quite difficult for either of these teams to push each other out of position because they're playing a very similar game.
Brute force. Bit of a scouting mission here. Keep your nose clean, a little bit of paranoia as well about what positions you could potentially take a fight from. Just assessing the land with Falcons sitting up top.
Yeah.
Rook finally losing the last man. Yangi went for the getaway so long ago, but he's been spotted and taken down, so Rook out as well.
I think for Brute Force, it is a tough rotate for them because I think they know they need to push through on this eastern side down the middle because it's just really difficult land to play down towards the south. Freezer will be raising up this teammate. Falcons have got to be worried though because there is shots coming through from that eastern side as well. As Moneymakers have eyes on. The two EMEA teams like a hydraulic press just squeezing Falcons at the moment.
Trying to shut each other down and remove any potential.
Nice.
The nade, close, bounces off. Pre-pod back on his feet and back to dealing deathly blows with that utility again. And now they close the distance. They want to seize this opportunity that's been given to them against Falcons. You got the good engagement off. You got the good start to the fight, but can you finish it before it starts to get out of hand? 4 versus 2. Positionally, Falcons taking pot shots back. Quick tuck in, looking for the med up, but the angle still works, and they get another knock back onto him.
Yeah, really nice spray coming through from Freezer there. As soon as he got that first tag, he was not letting him go. There is a wide swipe on the side from the Falcons, but again, this is just well played from both the Moneymakers and Brute Force. Again, for Falcons, it's a very, very difficult scenario to be in. Both teams making very smart decisions in the moment. But it is Inko to come from behind. A quick nade gets sent through, but will not deter Inko for now. As the Lion prowls up into position. Brute Force with one hand holding them back, but quite low on the back lines there is pre-pod, but they should get the full reset.
Will Brute Force be the Lion handler, or are they going to get mauled?
Nice.
Claws coming out. Bit of damage done. DRX taking casualties. Brute Force with the first as they flick over onto Inko and get the opening shot off they were looking for. Fragment them. Leave them with far less to work with now. Just a duo. Spread thin.
Vitali knows roughly where Chido is, but he swings wide. It's K finding a shot over towards Team Spirit, who are on the very, very far in the circle, down towards the south side, but it's Nerzed, the final player left alive for Falcons, and he will not be able to step up to the task here, but will lay pre-pod extremely low, and you knew that shot was going to come through at some point, but it's the Moneymakers on high. A long-range shot will take down one of them, and he gets flushed too, so Brute Force down to 3 players here, but at 6 eliminations. It's not a bad game so far.
Tongji Bao. They saw that opportunity onto the knocked man, know that they could remove him, they get the angle. Again, from quite far back, starting to potentially move up a little bit as well with the freedom they have to play with from the vehicles. Team Spirit trapped on rotation. Again, that's going to be Inko, the assault. And from the distance, the plus Kia spotting them running through the fields with no cover to protect them, and they just lay waste.
Oh, there is just something wrong within that team at the moment. It's so long to deal with those players, and even just a crash would have been decent. The scouting has not been there. Surely they know there's only 3 guns on that position. You just take the 4v3 at that point. Can't be sat outside on the blue for that long, but we're back on ball with TJB, who've lost 2 players. Vitali, last alive with the Pompey inside the house here. And Brute Force just realized this is an opportune time to try and get away. It is the moneymakers, though, who might have overlook onto this. And Freezer is going to have to hit some shots on the way. Will jump out the vehicle and look to hit a spray.
That info's gone both ways now. Either squad aware of the potential here. Smokes up, vehicles for cover, and you've really got yourself trapped in the worst location. So many sight lines from either side getting pinned in. Vitali was waiting for so long to introduce Tongji Bao to Big Papa Pump. He's been holding on to it. He's got the weapon ready to strike, looking for the opportunity, keeping him guessing of which way he's going to go. Dives around the corner, strikes in with the first, gets the quick shot off. He's bombing, he's weaving, and he's causing issues as he takes Tongji Bao down.
One into another there from Vitali. Great plays from him. But we're back on board and the action doesn't stop here. At the PMWC, Team Spirit is out. Not a surprise at this point in time. Maybe a surprise to fans at home at the beginning of the survival stage. Bro Harami, Pandem, holding inside the building. They'd like to push further in. This is all the way on that eastern side where the circle's about to pop. It heads central. Besiktas Black with a decent position, but it's IWNRX who've had a killer hold.
Thought you gotten close enough to introduce them to the DPS, but it's another man down. And further, the issues arise. 14 Pandem, hitting that fever pitch, that pandemonium, the chaos that's being brought to them by Harami Bro, as they start to assault back, looking to see if they can potentially finish them off here. That zone's going to start moving in as well. Pandem with a pre-fire around the doorway, expecting them to come running on in. They still got nades to work with.
In the meantime, Moneymakers try to get up close and personal, but Brute Force, they sent them back over towards the east. Drop some death crates whilst we're at it. Pandem with the pump again in hand. Single shell after single shell seems to do the trick here.
He's got it loaded with slugs right now, as he's left them pushing up daisies. You've got yourself trapped. Top floor control, sure. But can you still clean up from this? Just down to 2 players on either side. You've been able to at least win out on the opening engagements, but as this one goes on longer, will the nades make the difference? They make the quick move, dive out through the window, can't connect on the drop though. Back into a 1v1, and barely. Bro, keep it going.
Lovely coordination though from the top side, both jumping out the window at the same time as those nades go through. Almost had it. In the meantime, Brute Force has been killing it over towards this north side. From what was a very difficult position versus the Moneymakers, they're able to take them down. And again, this is a really strong spot. Start working your way in. This little bit of high ground, this lip to play around with, has so much oversight onto the rest of the map.
Inco. It's been awkward for them in a lot of the fights they've had to scrap their way through. Vitali had his highlight with the shotgun, but it might be low lights from this point as they're low down to the ground. The high ground is going to favor Brute Force from this position. Wide nade chucked across as well. 2 teams they're worried about, just trying to make sure that they backhand them with the nades and keep the distance.
The big thing for Brute Force is they know they have to leave at some point. So they're making the most out of this position whilst they still can. Here's the highlight you were talking about earlier. Through the smoke as well. Just swinging from either side. One nade should hit. None of them go through. DRX holds on by a thread. And Brute Force finds Vitali. This is what they needed to do. They needed to clear out these players as quick as possible. And what a push out from Judo that is. He'll do it himself. Heads down towards that western side. Now just Besiktas Black, and they have an immediate idea of where they should be. Getting refreshes on the nades, on the vests. But it's IWNRX. Flying like a sleeping beast on that eastern side.
How do you shut down that sleeping giant? Now it's roaring to life. 6 eliminations. Brute Force currently topping the charts with 11 to themselves. And they're going to want more from this. Squads finding themselves a small lull in the battle for a few seconds. Opportunities to top yourself back up, have an ammo count, and see where you go from here. But IWNRX, with the remainder of Harami Bro, off of their awful engagement, they could be in real rough territory here. You've got the clean line of sight, predicts the jump into the vehicle as well, and that one's going to hit home hard.
Mate, Zedwolf's on another planet right now. The thoughts ahead there as well. Knowing that he's going to try and move the vehicle, switches from the tire to the back seat. You love to see it. Frozen still putting punishment out. Again, another similar scenario to Brute Force. IWNRX have had an insane hold on that eastern side, but now they need to create some opening for themselves.
Doing good on the defense, but it's got to get a bit more tenacious. Play with that offense. Wide nade in as well. Chips laid down. Takes a heavy hit from that one. IWNRX again, taking these opportunities to get stuck in with the range advantage they found themselves with. You got the quick getaway maneuver for Lewis as well. Reposition and try and get into a better angle. Have some semblance of cover.
Got Brute Force here. 11 elims. Looking on track for another big game. It's the Brute Force special. Hit the massive elimination count on a Miramar, and they're starting to get bold with it. Moving further up, a nade's immediately thrown. Clearing space. CAG Osaka. Just moving around the side, using these vehicles to bait out the grenades. I like what I'm seeing.
Trying as best they can to have that substantial distance. So nades go short. Quick assess here. Quick scout. Where are they? Where's our other avenues to be attacked from? Meanwhile, IWNRX laying down the law with the big guns as Bro are finally removed from the equation. D plus Kia start to move in as well. Limited space to work with. Lewis has been trapped in position for quite some time, but he sees the peak on the back. CAG Osaka taking fights now as they're looking for the peak over, and he might want to go for this one. He's revving himself up, scoped in, looking for the fight.
IWNRX look over towards D plus Kia. You're kind up front with the nades, looking to push in. Besiktas Black been in the Gladiators ring this entire time, and there's been audience members, but now they're forced into the ring with them. Can they hit them with the gladiatorial combat? And get the thumbs down, or the thumbs up for the chicken dinner at the end of this one. It's been tough to hold on, but now they have playing chance. Nice airburst, but not quite enough. There's one coming through now from Zedwolf as he steps out of the way of this one. Looks pretty on target. Freezer just on the other side.
Inflicting chip damage. The shrapnel starting to connect. Meanwhile, Brute Force priming nades once again as well. They're throwing them back. Molotov casting it more awkward for them, but it's a nice nade that buys time. That one's going to be huge to actually play medic, get his teammate back up, but everyone else is sniffing the blood that's in the water, and they start to dive their way in. IWNRX, they go full aggro, dial up the temple, and they go going in. Look at the amount of damage you're starting to find off the back of this now, and causing so many issues with the fragmented Brute Force that you can pump bullets into them.
Freeze in a desperate position. Good molly actually sent into the ditch there, but he's got so much to deal with as CAG Osaka have had eyes on towards them for so long. D plus Kia go down. That's from Lewis on Besiktas, has been hiding out in the trees. Out comes Freezer though, the one-man wonder, the rookie.
He's making plays, making money in these situations. IWNRX trying to stand strong, trying to see if they can fight back, but in the constant clash that goes on, we see them go down. More squads being ripped to pieces, and right now you look at the head count. 3 players alive for CAG Osaka. They take a heavy hit onto one of them, but you've got the manpower advantage. If they can play this one out, they could get themselves a huge chicken dinner.
Brute Force, goodness me, Freezer puts them on ice in that situation. IWNRX getting a little bit too hot for their boots. Lewis with the big gun. Looking to take down CAG Osaka, get a bit too close. Now, things maybe open up to Freezer, but he's going down. Unfortunate there. Now just between Lewis and Osaka. Nice Molotov, might be the end of him. He's set in flames, and it will be Osaka to take that one. They've had a fantastic day today so far, but that does open the floodgates for some other teams here. Besiktas Black jumps up a lot. Brute Force jumps up a ton with their 14 elim count in a third place.
Massive moves again on that one, playing the